The organized labor comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trades Union Congress, Nigeria, on Friday, boycotted an emergency meeting with the federal government that was scheduled for 3 p.m. at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The federal government had called an emergency meeting with the leaders of the organized labor at the conference room of the Office of the President's Chief of Staff. Among other goals, Friday's meeting was meant to talk the labor movement out of its planned nationwide strike from Tuesday, October 3, 2023. On September 26, the NLC and TUC disclosed plans to commence an indefinite strike on October 3 to protest the cost of living crisis after the scrapping of petrol subsidy by President Bola Tinubu during his inauguration on May 29, 2023. The unions also directed their state chapters and affiliates to mobilize for the shutdown of critical facilities and infrastructure such as airports, seaports, electricity grids, and fuel supply nationwide. It's going to be a total shutdown until the government meets the demand of Nigerian workers, and in fact, Nigerian masses, the union leaders affirmed in a joint statement on Tuesday. They accused the federal government of refusing to meaningfully engage and reach agreements with organized labor on critical issues of the consequences of the unfortunate hike in the price of petrol, which has unleashed massive suffering on Nigeria workers and masses. Despite several deadlocked talks, the federal government, after Thursday's National Economic Council meeting, appealed to the unions to continue negotiations, warning that an indefinite strike could devastate the economy at this time. Although the government fixed Friday's meeting for noon, it postponed the gathering around 3 p.m. to enable labor to contact its leaders outside Abuja. Saturday Punch gathered that the government sent the invitation to the meeting through the Ministry of Labor and Employment on Friday morning. However, one of our correspondents observed that although light refreshment was positioned on the table, signaling an expected meeting, the conference room was empty by 4 p.m. as the labor representatives had yet to arrive. It was also gathered that the Minister of Labor, Simon Lalong, was in the office of the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. A source, who spoke to Saturday Punch in confidence said, the representatives of labor are supposed to be here by now. We have been expecting them since. The place is set and the Chief of Staff and Labor Minister are upstairs waiting. Around 5 p.m., Gbajabiamila was seen exiting the villa premises. He was said to be headed for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to await the arrival of President Tinubu from Paris. The Punch reported on Friday that the National Deputy President of the TUC, Tommy Itom, criticized alleged moves by the federal government to arm twist the organized labor from embarking on an indefinite nationwide strike from Tuesday, using the courts. He affirmed that labor leaders would not succumb to any threat by the government, noting that they were ready to go to prison in their fight for better lives for Nigerian workers. Itom's outburst comes against the backdrop of the warning by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, that the proposed strike contravenes a subsisting court order restraining the unions from declaring an industrial action. However, attempts to get from labor leaders the reasons why they boycotted the meeting with the government officials were not successful as they could not be reached on the telephone. Since the start of his administration, labor unions have protested Tinubu's decision to scrap the decades-old subsidy that kept fuel prices low but drained government funds. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told one of our correspondents in an interview on Thursday that the government was making efforts to resolve the issues raised by organized labor. We are engaging labor and we are hopeful that our engagement with them will lead to a fruitful resolution of the issues so that the strike can be averted. A strike action will not be in anyone's interest, he stated. The Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, and the Association of Nigerian Aviation Professionals have indicated an interest in participating in Tuesday's strike by organized labor. A joint notification of the impending strike was issued by the unions on Friday, emphasizing the dire circumstances that necessitated the drastic step. The letter, signed by representatives of the unions, including Francis Ekinjol of ATSEL, Umo Offenheim of NAPE and Abdurrazak Saido of ANAP, outlined a collective decision of the labor organizations.